Every holiday, every reunion, every family event, there's one person who's always missing. The Sigma male. Everyone has theories about why. They think he's antisocial, ungrateful, or doesn't care about family. None of those are true. The real reason is so uncomfortable that families refuse to acknowledge it, even when it's obvious. Watch what happens when a Sigma male is expected at a family gathering. The excuses start weeks in advance. Work commitments, previous plans, feeling under the weather, long drive, busy schedule. Every possible reason except the real one. The family interprets this as rejection, as ingratitude, as not valuing family bonds. They take it personally. They create narratives about what's wrong with him. Today we're breaking down the real reason Sigma males avoid family gatherings, not the polite explanations. The actual uncomfortable dynamics that make family events intolerable in ways that have nothing to do with loving or not loving family members. 1. Families refuse to see who he actually is. The first uncomfortable reason is that families refuse to acknowledge who the Sigma male actually is now. They're stuck seeing a version of him that hasn't existed for years or decades. Every family gathering, they treat him like he's still the person he was at 16 or 22, or whenever they formed their fixed image of him. They ignore all evidence that he's evolved, changed, developed different values and priorities. He's built expertise they don't acknowledge, developed perspectives they dismiss, created a life they don't understand. But at family gatherings, none of that matters. He's still treated as the role they assigned him years ago. This isn't just annoying. It's psychologically invalidating. Being treated as a version of yourself you outgrew years ago is a form of erasure. The person you actually are doesn't exist to them. For most people, this is manageable. Mildly frustrating, but tolerable. For Sigma males who've spent years deliberately developing themselves, it's intolerable. He's not the same person he was. He's grown, learned, changed fundamentally. But the family refuses to see it. They interact with a ghost version of him that no longer exists. At family gatherings, he has two choices. Perform the outdated role they expect, which means denying who he actually is. Or be himself and face constant confusion and rejection because they don't recognize this version. 2. They use gatherings to enforce conformity. The second uncomfortable reason is that family gatherings are conformity enforcement mechanisms, and Sigma males are non-conformists being pressured to conform. Families have expectations about careers, relationships, life choices, values, behavior, and family gatherings are where these expectations get enforced through social pressure. Everyone else falls in line. They've made the expected choices, or at least perform compliance. The Sigma male hasn't. He's made different choices based on different values. And family gatherings become intervention sessions trying to correct his deviance. When are you going to settle down? Why don't you have a normal job? You should be thinking about stability. Why don't you ever bring anyone to these things? You're getting too old to be doing this. These aren't questions. They're social pressure attempts to enforce conformity. The family is collectively trying to push him back toward normal because his choices make them uncomfortable. For most family members, this pressure is tolerable or even welcome. They want to conform. They value fitting in. The pressure just reinforces what they already want. For Sigma males, it's an attack on their autonomy. They deliberately chose paths different from family expectations. They're not confused or lost. They made different choices intentionally. Being pressured to abandon those choices and conform to family standards is being told their autonomous decisions are wrong, that they should surrender their judgment to family consensus. That's not happening. So family gatherings become battlegrounds. constant deflection of conformity pressure, defending choices against people who believe their way is the only right way. After hours of this, he's exhausted from defending his right to live differently, and the family is frustrated he won't conform. Nobody wins, so he stops attending. Not because he doesn't love his family, because he's protecting his autonomy from their conformity enforcement, and they refuse to accept that his different choices are legitimate. 3. Family dynamics. Trigger old patterns he's worked to escape. The third uncomfortable reason is that family gatherings trigger childhood relationship dynamics that the Sigma male spent years escaping and healing from. Families have patterns, parent-child dynamics, sibling hierarchies, roles assigned in childhood that persist into adulthood. These patterns are psychologically real and powerful. When the Sigma male is around his family, he gets pulled back into these old patterns. The child being lectured by parents, the younger sibling being dismissed, the black sheep being othered. Whatever role he had as a kid, he spent years building himself into an autonomous adult, developing independence, creating psychological distance from childhood dynamics, building new identity separate from family roles. Then he goes to a family gathering, and within minutes, he's being treated like a child again. Parents giving unsolicited advice as if he's 16. Siblings treating him with the same dismissiveness as when they were kids. The old dynamics snap back into place. This is regression. Being forced back into psychological patterns you've outgrown. For someone who's done significant work to develop beyond childhood dynamics, it's painful. Most people either haven't outgrown family dynamics or don't mind reverting to them temporarily. The family gathering is a comfortable return to familiar patterns. For Sigma males who deliberately escape those patterns, it's being dragged back to a psychological state they worked hard to leave. It undoes progress, reinforces patterns they've tried to eliminate. After a family gathering, he feels like he's regressed, lost ground on psychological development, being pulled back into being the person he was, rather than the person he's become. That regression is harmful. So he protects himself by not attending, maintaining the psychological distance required to stay in adult patterns rather than reverting to childhood ones. The family sees this as abandonment. Actually, it's self-preservation, protecting psychological progress from environments that actively undermine it. 4. His presence makes everyone uncomfortable. The fourth uncomfortable reason is that the Sigma male's presence actually makes everyone at the gathering uncomfortable, and he knows it. He doesn't fit. His values are different. His choices are different. His way of being is different. And that difference creates tension that affects everyone. Parents feel judged by his different choices. Even if he says nothing, his mere existence as someone who chose differently implies their way isn't the only way. That's uncomfortable for them. Siblings feel defensive. His independence highlights their conformity. His unconventional success questions their conventional paths. Even without saying anything, he makes them question their choices. Extended family doesn't know how to relate to him. He doesn't follow scripts they understand. Conversations feel awkward. They don't know what to say or ask. His presence is socially uncomfortable. So everyone is slightly on edge when he's there. Slightly uncomfortable, slightly defensive, and he feels this. The tension is palpable. He's not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. He's just being himself. But himself is different enough that it creates friction just by existing in that space. Most people would try to minimize this discomfort by performing normalcy, acting more like everyone else, hiding the differences, making everyone comfortable by conforming superficially. Sigma males won't do that. If being themselves makes everyone uncomfortable, that's a them problem, not a him problem. He's not going to perform a fake version of himself for their comfort. But he also doesn't want to be the source of tension at every family gathering. Doesn't want to make everyone uncomfortable. Doesn't want his mere presence to create stress. So he removes himself. If his presence makes everyone uncomfortable, the kind thing is to not be present. Let them have their comfortable gathering without the tension his difference creates. The family would prefer he attend and conform. Make himself comfortable for them. He refuses, but he also won't force them to be uncomfortable with who he actually is, so he stays away. 5. Families weaponize guilt and obligation. The fifth uncomfortable reason is that families use guilt and obligation as weapons, and Sigma males refuse to be controlled by emotional manipulation. The pressure to attend isn't presented as preference. It's presented as moral obligation. Family comes first. You owe us this. We sacrificed for you. This is what family does. These aren't invitations. They're guilt trips. Emotional manipulation designed to create obligation that overrides personal preference. For most family members, this works. They feel the guilt. They feel the obligation. They attend even when they don't want to because family duty demands it. Sigma males recognize this as manipulation and refuse to comply. Guilt is a control mechanism. Obligation language is coercion. They won't be controlled through emotional manipulation regardless of who's doing it. You should feel bad for not attending is an attempt to install guilt as a control mechanism. You owe us is an attempt to create false debt. Family comes first is an attempt to override his autonomous decision-making. None of that works on him. He doesn't feel guilt for making choices that serve his well-being. He doesn't acknowledge owing attendance as debt. He doesn't accept that family automatically outranks his own judgment. So the family escalates. More guilt, more obligation language, more emotional pressure, trying to find the manipulation that works. And he just stops engaging. You can't manipulate someone who won't accept the premise that your emotions should control their behavior. This makes the family furious. They're used to guilt and obligation working, used to people complying when enough pressure is applied. His immunity to these tactics feels like rejection. But he's just refusing to be controlled, not refusing family, refusing manipulation. If the only way to get him to attend is emotional coercion, he's not attending. The family could invite him without guilt or obligation. Just, we'd enjoy your presence if you're able to attend. That might work. But they won't do that because they need the control mechanisms. So he stays away. Not because he doesn't care about family, because he won't submit to emotional manipulation, regardless of the source. 6. There's no privacy or boundaries. The sixth uncomfortable reason is that family gatherings completely eliminate privacy and boundaries that Sigma males require to function. At family gatherings, everything is everyone's business. Your job, your relationships, your plans, your health, your finances, your choices. Nothing is private. Everyone feels entitled to know everything and comment on it. Questions aren't respectful inquiries. They're invasive demands for information you don't want to share. And refusing to answer is seen as rudeness rather than boundary setting. For most family members, this is fine. They don't mind the lack of privacy. They want to share. They enjoy the communal aspect of everyone knowing everything. Sigma males need privacy, need boundaries, need areas of life that aren't communal property. And family gatherings make that impossible. He tries to maintain boundaries, deflects personal questions, keeps certain topics private, and this is seen as being cold, distant, secretive. The family takes it personally. Why won't you share with us? What are you hiding? We're family, you should tell us everything. They genuinely don't understand that someone might want privacy, not because they're hiding something bad, but because privacy itself is valuable. So every interaction becomes boundary defense, constant deflection of invasive questions, constant justification for not sharing things he doesn't want to share, exhausting boundary maintenance against people who don't believe his boundaries are legitimate. After hours of this, he's drained from defending basic privacy against people who believe family status entitles them to unlimited access. So he stops attending. At home, privacy is automatic. Boundaries are respected by default. No constant defense required. The family sees this as him being secretive or not trusting them. Actually, it's self-protection from environments where his need for privacy is seen as pathological rather than legitimate. 7. They want him to play therapist for everyone's problems. The seventh, uncomfortable reason is that family gatherings turn into free therapy sessions where he's expected to solve everyone's problems. Sigma males are often the observers in families. The ones who see patterns clearly, who understand dynamics, who can analyze situations objectively. Families notice this and exploit it. Every gathering, family members corner him with their problems, relationship issues, career confusion, conflicts with other family members, financial struggles. They want his perspective, his advice, his solutions. At first, he might try to help, offer genuine insight, provide useful perspectives. But he discovers it's a trap. They don't actually want solutions. They want validation. They want permission to continue their patterns. They want someone to blame for their problems. When he offers real solutions, they reject them or get angry. So he's not actually helping. He's being used as an emotional dumping ground. They unload their problems on him because he'll listen. Then they ignore everything he says and continue the same patterns. This is exhausting and pointless. Hours of providing emotional labor for people who don't actually want help. Just want someone to absorb their emotional overflow. He didn't volunteer for this role, didn't agree to be the family therapist, but attending the gathering means getting cornered repeatedly by people treating him as their personal emotional support. Most people might feel useful in this role. Sigma males feel exploited. They're providing valuable emotional labor for free with no reciprocation and no actual positive outcome, so they stop attending. If going to family gatherings means being the unpaid therapist for everyone's problems, while his own life gets ignored, it's not worth attending. The family sees this as him being selfish or not caring. Actually, it's refusing to be exploited for emotional labor that doesn't help anyone. 8. Success is met with resentment, not celebration. The 8th uncomfortable reason is that when Sigma males succeed unconventionally, families respond with resentment rather than celebration. He's done well, built something, achieved success. But it's success that looks different from what the family expected or values. So instead of celebration, there's resentment. If he's financially successful through unconventional means, the family questions its legitimacy. That can't be sustainable? You're just lucky. Must be nice not having real responsibility. If he's satisfied living differently, they dismiss it. You'll regret this later. You're wasting your potential. This phase will end. If he's genuinely happy outside conventional success markers, they're uncomfortable. His happiness without their values implies those values aren't necessary for happiness. That's threatening. So his success, instead of being celebrated, becomes something the family needs to diminish. They can't acknowledge it as legitimate because it challenges their worldview. At family gatherings, his success is either ignored or subtly attacked. Never celebrated, never acknowledged as impressive, just dismissed or questioned. Compare this to conventional family members. Got promoted at a normal job? Celebration. Bought a house in the suburbs? Celebration. Had kids? Massive celebration. Did exactly what was expected. Family approval and support. Did something impressive but unconventional? Skepticism. Dismissal. Questioning. Resentment disguised as concern. This is painful. Working hard to build something meaningful and having your own family refuse to acknowledge it because it doesn't match their template for success. So he stops sharing his successes with them, stops attending gatherings where his achievements will be dismissed, stops seeking validation from people who can't offer it. The family sees this as him being distant. Actually, it's protecting himself from people who punish him for succeeding differently than they expected. 9. The emotional intensity is overwhelming. The 9th uncomfortable reason is that family gatherings have emotional intensity that Sigma males find overwhelming and exhausting. Families are emotionally intense. Drama, conflicts, old resentments, new tensions, strong emotions constantly flowing, arguments erupting, people getting hurt, reconciliations. The emotional volume is constantly high. Most family members are acclimated to this. They are used to high emotional intensity. They might even enjoy it. The passion, the drama, the emotional connection. Sigma males find it overwhelming. They operate at low emotional intensity, calm, measured, controlled emotional expression. The high-intensity emotional environment of family gatherings is sensory and emotional overload. Constant emotional noise. People getting upset, others trying to manage those upsets. New upsets starting. Emotional reactions to everything. Nothing can just be calm and neutral. He tries to maintain his calm center in this chaos. But the emotional intensity is contagious and exhausting. After hours of high-intensity emotional environment, he's completely drained. It's not that he can't handle emotions, it's that the constant intensity with no breaks is overwhelming. Like being in a loud nightclub for hours when you have sound sensitivity. Most family members don't experience it as overwhelming because they're comfortable at that intensity level. For Sigma males operating at much lower baseline intensity, it's too much. So they avoid these environments. Not because they can't feel emotions, because the emotional intensity level of family gatherings is beyond their tolerance threshold. The family sees this as him being cold or disconnected. Actually, it's being overwhelmed by intensity levels that are normal for them but extreme for him. 10. He fundamentally doesn't enjoy it. The 10th and most uncomfortable reason is the simplest one. He just doesn't enjoy family gatherings. At all. Never has. And he's done pretending he does. This is the truth families refuse to accept. All the pressure and guilt and obligation is trying to force him to do something he genuinely doesn't enjoy and never will. He doesn't enjoy large groups. Doesn't enjoy small talk. Doesn't enjoy the activities. Doesn't enjoy the dynamics. Doesn't enjoy the food. Doesn't enjoy being there. Other family members enjoy it, or at least tolerate it willingly. They get something positive from the experience. Connection, nostalgia, tradition, belonging. Something makes it worthwhile for them. For him, there's no positive. Just hours of discomfort, doing things he doesn't enjoy, with people who don't understand him, in an environment that's actively unpleasant for him. The family insists he should enjoy it. It's family. These are precious moments. You'll regret missing this someday. They truly believe he must enjoy it or will enjoy it if he just tries harder. He's tried. For years he attended and tried to enjoy it. It never worked. He's never enjoyed it. He's not going to suddenly start enjoying something he's consistently disliked for decades. So he's done pretending, done forcing himself to attend things he doesn't enjoy to make other people happy, done sacrificing his time and well-being for events that give him nothing positive. This is the most uncomfortable truth. He's not confused, not going through a phase, not going to come around. He just genuinely doesn't enjoy family gatherings and chooses not to do things he doesn't enjoy. The family could accept this, acknowledge that he's different and these events don't work for him. Stop pressuring him to attend. Let him maintain relationships in ways that do work for him. But they won't. Because accepting that he genuinely doesn't enjoy something they enjoy means accepting he's fundamentally different. That family unity is a fiction. That not everyone values the same things. So they keep pressuring. He keeps declining. And the cycle continues. If you're a Sigma male skipping family gatherings, stop feeling guilty. You're protecting yourself from environments that are genuinely harmful to your well-being. That's not wrong. That's self-preservation. If your family trying to get a Sigma male to attend, understand what you're actually asking. You're asking him to endure hours of psychological harm for your comfort. That's not reasonable. Want him there? Create space that actually works for him. Respect boundaries. Accept differences. Stop trying to change him. Make the environment actually safe for who he is. Otherwise, accept his absence as a legitimate choice. He's not broken. Your gathering just doesn't work for him. If you're a Sigma male who's stopped attending family gatherings for these reasons, drop a comment with "Boundaries Matter" and tell me which reason weighs heaviest. If your family who finally understands why someone doesn't attend, maybe it's time to stop taking it personally and start examining whether your gatherings are actually welcoming to people who are different. And if you're dreading an upcoming family gathering, remember you don't owe attendance to people who make you feel bad about who you are. Your well-being matters more than their expectations. Until next time, protect your peace